I'm Kevin.
I'm Lincoln.
We are Giant Killers.
Let's do this.
So right now, we just want to thank everybody that tuned in last week to episode 1. This is episode 2. We love all the feedback we got, the good, the bad, the ugly. And we want you guys just to keep bringing it in. Like, we love all of that. Like, we're taking it all in and, trying to improve every single week that we do this. And we want to, have you guys be entertained as well and, hear what we have to say. And we just thank you guys.
Right. And one of the things that people sent in was, what's with the name? Giant Killers. And so today we're going to go a little bit into that, what Giant Killers means to us. To me, a giant killer, or you go back to the original giant story, David and Goliath. And David went and he slayed this giant Goliath. And for those who don't know, David was actually a shepherd. He wasn't even a soldier of any sort. He was a small town boy living in a lonely world, and he went out to the battlefield anyway and saw Goliath, and he slayed him. But not only that, the story continues, and David had men under him, guys like Benaiah and these other great warriors that went out, and they would literally chase down these giants, these colonies of giants, and they would go slay them. These giant killers, the original giant, the OG giant killers. And so today we're gonna go a little bit into that, into what giant killers means. I don't know. Does that mean about the same to you, giant killers, or do you have a different?
Well,
take?
yeah, like when the name came about, we said like Giant Killers, and we're just like, man, why? And giants to me, it's like you're facing something big in your life, or something big is approaching you, and you kind of feel like, man, I don't know if I can overcome this. I don't know if I can take this on. And if you kind of like how you were saying that David and Goliath, David took it on, and he kind of like he said, I'm gonna knock this thing down with one rock, right, one pebble, and it's kind of like. A lot of times in life, we don't overcome those giants.
Right.
Or a lot of times we're in regret with giants. And this is about, us being a platform for others to share their stories about the giants that they face in their lives and the giants that we face in our lives. And I know that me and you have multiple giants that are still in our lives and we're still facing right now. But we're saying, you know what? We are giant killers. Like, this is who we are. This is who we decided to be, giant killers. It's not... like we're gonna run away. It's saying we're gonna face it, face on, and let's move forward.
Definitely. And another thing we want to do is we want to share people's stories, as you mentioned. And so we already have some that sent them in. But if you have a story out there of a giant that you're currently facing, or you have slayed before, or a giant that you need help with, and you just need to reach out to other people that'll pray with you, then send them in. But to give an example of that, we're going to spend this episode diving into the giants that we have faced. And remember, there are a lot of giants that we've either faced before or that we're facing now. And we just want to talk about that. So today we're going to go into Kevin's story. One story of a giant that you had to face. And then if we have time, we'll go into mine. If not, then I'll share mine next week. So Kevin, giant killer, first story. Tell me about Disneyland.
Oh, you're going to that one. Okay. So like I said, there's many like giants that I'm facing or I faced and I've overcome. Some that I wish I can have back, and and Disneyland. Ooh, that one's
describe the day.
So it was a day that I was going to like this convention thing at the convention center in Anaheim, and then we're like, let's go to Disneyland. Let's just spend the day at the downtown Disney and just kind of view the stores around. And I think I was like 12 at the time. 12 or 13, and I remember we got into this tram, and then we're going and we're having a good time. It was like about like 16 of us, and we're riding this tram and we're acting like it's a roller coaster because we knew that we weren't going to go into Disneyland, so we're kind of just having a fun time, and we're having a fun time with the driver, and the driver's going like doot doot, and we're just there, and then we're having a good time. And I just remember my buddy and everything that was sitting next to me. There's somebody else sitting to my left side, and then we're going, and this tram is about to make a big U-turn. And mind you, we're in the last car of this tram. So it's like about 6 cars, right? 6 little separate cars. And we're going, and this driver, he starts speeding up a little faster because, we're kind of vibing with him in a sense, right? We're acting like we're having fun back there. So he starts speeding up, and then he makes this big old U-turn. And then we get whipped, dude. Like the car kind of just tilts. The guy that was sitting on my right, it's like we're all like going downhill, right? Because the car's already tilting, and he's holding on for dear life. I'm kind of like, we all push down the seat, and he's holding on. He ends up falling, and then I just see everybody in front of me
outside of the
tram. Like he's gone. Like he's on the floor already rolling.
I should have laughed, but that's pretty
and I'm going, and then next thing you know, I can't hold on. There's people like that are stronger dudes in front of me looking, and they're holding on to everybody that's falling from their car. So they're actually holding on. I just see these guys struggling, and I'm like this 12-year-old kid. How am I supposed to hold myself like up? And I remember falling off the tram, and at the time I was like, you know, I landed on my left arm pretty hard, got a couple scrapes, and I remember standing up, and you know, I felt numb, like my left hand felt numb, and it was kind of like, oh, what's going on? Like, everybody's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. Acting like a little tough like kid. And I remember just started crying. Like, I just started crying, and then like, oh no, he's crying. I remember, like my arm at that point, I knew that something was wrong, and then like I think he fractured his.
You broke your arm.
Yeah.
So you fell out. You broke your arm.
Yeah.
What did the driver do? Did he come out and help you, or what?
The driver, the little scene that I saw from the driver, at least, that he started running towards me, and then he's like this, he's this like, you know, white man, so he just has like this red face, man, like panic, like he knew he just messed up, like he knew that he sped up on that U-turn, you know, and
he knew he was fired.
Practically, I would say, right? You would assume that you have an accident like that is because, you know, and you know, so. We go to the hospital and everything. They call my parents and everything. And then next thing you know, next couple of days, Disneyland's calling. And they're just calling. And then they're like, you know, what's the accident? And in other words, they're just trying to find out if I'm a suit. Mm. Like, because they're just like, man.
So they don't care about you. They're just trying to.
Yeah, they're just kind of practically saying like, oh yeah, is he okay? But really, are you guys going to sue? Like,
right.
Like, what are your plans? You know, and I remember they kept trying to talk to me. The detectives kept trying to talk to me. The lawyers kept trying to talk to me. And mind you that we know that Disney is a big company, so it's not just one guy talking. It's like multiple guys trying to call you to see what's going on. And I'm just this 12-year-old kid, man, like not really knowing what's going on behind the scenes as far as like the legal aspect. And just my parents are going to deal with that, I'm thinking, right? And I remember my parents, they got like a mediocre like lawyer, I would say, because the moment that he got faced with like a lawyer from Disney, like he panicked.
He got scared.
And he was kind of telling my parents like, you shouldn't sue. Like, you know, this is like, you won't win. It's Disneyland. Like, why would you win against Disneyland? And you know, my parents, you know, I grew up in like in a rougher neighborhood and stuff. So like you're looking at like, how can this Hispanic couple face a juggernaut of Disneyland?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, you don't see you can conquer that at all when you have like, you know, $6 million lawyers. And now when I look back at that, I'm just kind of like, well, first of all, I think I put the doors on those trams at Disneyland. And now they have like the little doors. I remember going like a month later and they have the doors and they have like the little cushion, I believe, now too. And I look at back that and I just tell people, I'm the guy that actually put that there, you know? But other than that, it's kind of like, I look at that and I just look back and I just say like, why were my parents scared? Like, I was 12 years old. Like, I didn't know much about the legal system and how that works. What can I have done different?
Wait, so you guys didn't sue?
We didn't sue.
You guys did not sue?
We did not sue.
What were you thinking? I mean, no, you're probably
no,
you're 10 or 12.
Like I'm telling you, like I don't. And me at that point, I'm kind of thinking like, oh well, you know, they paid the bills, like, you know, they gave us tickets.
Dude, what?
I'm thinking like, all right, this is good, I guess, right?
So in retrospect, you should have sued.
Yes. Do
you regret not suing?
I think now looking back at it, my parents do regret not suing, and even like one of the guys that was with us is a detective. And he even told us, like, you guys should have sued. Yeah, man. Like, you guys should have sued. Like, you guys would have won. Like, there's no way you don't win this case because, like, it wasn't none of your guys' fault.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're in the back. He busts an ooey too quick. you fall out, you break your arm, and then Disneyland, like, they start paying for your medical bills and stuff, correct?
And mind you, the other reason why the lawyer was scared and said you might not have a case for this is because the guy that fell before you does not want to sue and it's not pressing any legal charges.
Right.
It's only going to be you.
So it made you guys think that you guys couldn't press an issue either.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Thinking
man.
it's
You
only
could be a
you guys.
millionaire right now.
It's
Kev.
only you guys.
You guys could be millionaires right now.
Yeah, like I honestly, I look back at that and that's a giant in my parents' life, I think, and I look back at it as my giant as far as like what I should do, what I should have done now, maybe. If I was in my parents' shoes, let's say now, what would I do differently?
Right.
I would attack that giant right away and be like, I ain't scared.
Like, especially with a case like that,
like I should win. Like I should win.
I think the fact that they would pay for like medical bills and stuff like that, they give you like tickets and stuff.
Yeah.
A lifetime pass?
No
lifetime pass. So you still have to
pass.
pay to get in there.
No, well, they give us a pass to go in and everything. Like, well, now, yeah. Like now, if I want to go right now, yeah, I have to pay.
You still have to pay.
I have to pay.
They broke your arm.
Yeah.
And now you can't even get in.
Like forever, I can say I broke.
The doors on the tram are named after you. Those are the Kevin doors, and you don't have a lifetime pass.
Yeah.
So you missed out on a couple $1 million. You missed out on lifetime passes and all this stuff, and you regret it, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a kid.
Well,
at the time,
like I'm
yes.
a kid. Like so, that's the hard part. That I look back at it now, and it's just kind of like, like, dude, like, what were we thinking almost?
Right.
And I honestly don't like, other people know the legal system a lot better than, my parents did.
Right.
So
I
it's
have to
kind of
ask: are your parents documented, undocumented?
They're documented.
Documented. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that is one thing that, like, I know that other people are afraid to face the government or do anything legal because, that is an issue. But so this giant is something that you didn't slay. You guys didn't even fight. And now you have to live with certain regrets and certain, like, what if, how different my life be type of thing. So what advice could you give out to someone out there that's facing a giant they think is too big for them to take on, and they don't know if they either want to face them or not? Because this can be like a bully in school. This can be, a college that they're afraid to apply to because they don't think they're going to get in. These are giants that people face, and they don't know if they actually want to fight it or not. What advice could you give to them?
The way that I see it is that you got to tack it on. Like, you got to be able to face the fears, the insecurities. You got to just put your head down and say, you know what, I got this.
Right.
I ain't going to be scared. I have faith that everything's going to come through.
Right.
And, that's my advice. Attack it. Like, what do you have to lose? Like, what do you have to lose? Right. Like, you need to conquer this. Like, at the end of the day, like how you're saying, it's going to stay with you. This bully is always going to be there. Mm-hmm. This insecurity is always going to be there. Attack it forward and be like, you know what? Like, I need to conquer this. Right. I want to be a giant killer. Like, I ain't going to be scared. I'm going to be bold. And I think a lot of times, we're not bold. Mm-hmm. We stay timid and we stay like, I don't know if I can. Like, it's just going to get worse. Right. And we think of all the negatives over and over and all the possibilities of a negative situation.
Afraid of failure type of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we think of all the negative situations that can happen, but we don't look at the positive a lot of times.
Right.
And we live in the negative. And it's kind of like, no, you got to live in the positive and always look forward in the positive. You know? So
thanks for sharing that story, man.
No,
I guess we have time for mine, so we'll go with mine. Well, there was a giant that I had to face when I was at Santa Ana College. I was 19, 20-ish. It was my last year there. And the giant is called fatherhood. I was going to go to a four-year university. I was going to transfer. But then we found out that my girlfriend at the time was pregnant. And so there's a fork in the road because, this sounds really bad to say this, but I could either go to a college out of state, play football, and continue my education and just, support my family in that way, which is not really supporting them at all. Or I can stay local and be a dad. And me being young, I was drinking, I was smoking, I was doing all these crazy things. And I decided to face the giant head on, and I went into fatherhood. We got married. Then we had another kid right after, almost a year to the day, we had another kid. And then before I knew it, I had 2 kids. And so that's actually a giant I'm facing now, is fatherhood. And I think this past weekend, was when I realized that I'm doing the right thing, that I made the right choice, that I am currently conquering this giant, because we went to Yosemite, and one big thing that I remember when I was a kid was my dad, every time we would drive to the mountains, it'd be snowy, it'd be icy, it'd be dangerous. As we're driving up the mountain, I could look over the right side of the door or of the car, and you can just see a big, steep fall. And I would always think to myself, like, hey, if my dad makes one, like if we make one bad move, like we're dead. You can fall off and you're dead. But when I was a kid, I knew that we were safe because my dad was driving, And then I get to college, and it's our first year I signed into college, and we're driving up the mountain, and now I'm driving, or my cousin Domain's driving, and now I'm scared. It's the same mountain, same everything, same conditions, but now I'm scared, and I realize it's because I was driving. Well, now we go to Yosemite, and it's actually even more dangerous, and I knew I was doing okay because it was a 7-hour drive, 4 hours to Reedley, and then 2.5 hours from there to Yosemite, and we're driving up this mountain, and my kids are sleeping in the back, and I just had this weird moment where I looked back at them, and I was it was a weird, like, proud moment where my family is sleeping, my 2 kids in the back, my wife in the passenger seat, my sister-in-law is sitting in the back as well with my kids, and everybody's sleeping except for me, and I'm driving down this scary road. Everything's icy. We have chains on the tires. I've never had chains on the tires before. And I realized then, thank God that I'm here, that I'm doing this. It's definitely not under my own strength. I have a lot of people to give credit for that, but I'm also at the same time, like, I am my father now, because my kids and everyone can sleep knowing that I'm driving this car. You know what I mean? And so I think that's a giant for me that I'm going to have to face every single day, because, just be a dad for one day, but, go so on and so forth. But anyone that's going through because I know plenty of student athletes out there that are going through something similar, where they're about to be dads or moms, and they don't know whether to put their love for sports above this scary thing called parenthood. And I think they all know what the right choice is. But if you're faithful, you can also have the other thing as well, because I got to play 2 years at Chapman football. I am still a student there. I get to graduate in May. And so I got football. I had the kids. I did the fatherhood. I did education. I work at a great job. And it's all because of God's faithfulness. It has nothing to do with me. Because I go to Chapman right now, but I got in with a 2.7 GPA, which is like 0.6 GPA points too low. I should have never gotten in. I got to play football when I shouldn't have. I was a dad. I got spoiled with a big family around me, my aunts, my in-laws, and they all get to watch the kids, and I can spend a lot of free time. I can even do this podcast right now because my kids are at home with my wife, and I know they're sleepy. I know they're doing well. But yeah, these giants that we get to face in life, it's either you do it or you don't. But lucky for me, I had a squad with me, kind of like David had his men. I have my family. I have a lot of people around me. But yeah, man, that's my story, Will.
So what do you got to say to, you pointed out one key word, and you said fatherhood. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that you said you were a student athlete, but there's also people that are scared of just fatherhood.
Right.
All the guys out there that are just like, I don't even know if I should get in this as far as fatherhood. And what can you say to those men out
that are about to have kids?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or like because you were scared, you're saying too. You didn't know whether I don't know if I want to do this. Like, what do you have to say to?
Yeah, I was super scared. Allow yourself to be afraid. Accept that you're afraid. Admit to, the woman that you're having a kid with. Admit to her that you're afraid. It's okay to be afraid. Not everyone's gonna have an answer. I always thought that a woman becomes a mother the moment she finds out she's pregnant. The dad doesn't actually become dad until the baby's here, because a woman feels everything. There's certain things that like women get to feel when they're pregnant that men will never understand. I had never understood. Yeah. My wife would tell me like, oh, like I'm going through this, or I feel like this, or I feel sick. I hate Chinese food now. I'm like, what do you mean you hate orange chicken, girl? That's my thing. Like I just never understood. But thanks, Yanti. But I mean, like there's things that women go through when they're pregnant that men just won't ever understand. So of course you're gonna be afraid, because not only are you facing like this new concept of fatherhood, but you're also facing this new woman, because the woman changes. And she's very frustrated with you because she's going through all these changes and she's preparing to be a mother, and she doesn't see you preparing to be a father. Yeah. And so you got to man up early enough to catch that, diagnose that for yourself, and start to be a dad. Because, like, I read this thing, and it's so true. It's anybody could be a father, but not everybody could be dad. And so you have to decide, are you just going to be a man who's a father to a kid? Or are you going to be a dad or a daddy? And when you get home, your kids will know you as such. Your wife will look at you and know that you're a great dad, that you're a great partner, and all that. So for anyone that's about to have a kid and you're a man, put yourself aside. Don't be selfish, and love selflessly. That's my take.
No, that's good stuff, man. I know that I don't have, kids or anything, but it's good to hear from someone that, went through it and says, allow yourself to be scared. I think that's very key.
Yeah. Another thing is, like, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And I still do. If you brought my wife on the show, she'll tell you about all the bad things, about how I'm such a bad dad. If you brought her on the show, like, I can't be here. She's going to sit here and just roast me for a whole 3 days straight. And she's right. Because as a dad, I made so many mistakes. It's hard to get everything right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only thing I've ever done right was deciding to better myself by getting involved in a fellowship where I'm surrounded by guys like you, or guys like Yanti, or sisters like Sarah and Raquel, where everyone sharpens me. They keep me accountable. Because if you guys saw me going out there and acting a fool on the streets and stuff, I'm pretty sure you guys would say, hey, Link, what are you doing? You have 2 kids at home, So surrounding yourself with the right personnel as well is very key as well. Why, you thinking about fatherhood already, Ken?
In a couple of years.
We got Valentine's tomorrow, so we have a date. So,
but back to it, it's just kind of like, this is us just being very, like, open about what we've gone through.
Right.
And we're not scared, and we're not going to hide anything from people about the giants that we face, and we don't want anybody to hide anything from what they face. We want them to be very, like, open about it, and we hope that they send us their stories so that this can be used as that platform, and that other people need to hear their stories.
Right.
And I think that's very key, because a lot of people feel that they can't share their stories because, like, why is it going to matter?
Definitely. Something I think is, like, some people are going to be afraid to tell their story because they're afraid to admit all the things they did wrong. Because in everybody's story, there's something that you do that you wish you did differently. For you, it's the Disneyland thing. You wish that your parents would do something differently. For me, it's all the mistakes I made as a father that I wish I did differently. But if you send in your stories and you keep it authentic, you keep it real, you don't blur out all your mistakes, because here's the thing. Nobody can relate to a perfect story. If I came up here and talk about how I'm a perfect dad, nobody can relate to that because no one's perfect. But if I come up here and tell you how real it is, like, hey, do I screw up as a dad? I mess up and doing all this, XYZ, as a husband, XYZ, then people are like, I can relate to that because I've messed up the same way. And so to be open, to be real, to be authentic is so important as well in your stories. And people need to hear that because there's certain people out there that can reach others in ways that we cannot. And that's why we want other people to send in their stories.
Yeah. So we just encourage everybody today after to just send in your stories to us. We want you guys to contact us and just send them in, and we'll thank you for it. And it can they don't
keep
have
it
to put
anonymous. Yeah, we keep it anonymous. We can blur out
name.
any names we can change names in the ways that you want us to. We will announce that as well before we read it. And yeah, we'll sit up here on the show and we'll read it the best we can and share out their stories. Yeah. And we believe that your stories will make an impact out there somewhere in the world.
Yeah. Let's be giant killers together, I would say.
Sure.
We're all giant killers.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely.
Let's do it.
That's it from us. I'm Lincoln.
I'm Kevin.
And we're Giant Killers. Hey, thanks for watching this week's episode of Giant Killers Podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Giant Killers Podcast.
Also, look for us on Instagram at Killers Giant. DM us your stories. Also, look at our bio for other ways to contact us. Thank you for tuning in.
Boom.